to something a little bit different. I know I say that just about every bloody time, I swear. Hi, welcome. We're just going to have a nice relaxing day today. So this is something I wanted to start last week, but with everything that went down with the degree, my assignments and stuff, I decided, you know what, I'll postpone until next week. I'm not going to say that this is going to be a weekly occurrence or anything like that. This is probably going to be one of the most regular new things I'm trying out. I don't know if it's going to slot into the normal week times or if it is going to stay in this time slot or if it gets moved somewhere else. We'll see. But for now, welcome to Just Chatting. We're just gonna chat, relax, chill out. So, as you can probably tell from the title, there is an overarching topic that I would like to cover. I'm just gonna... God, this song is very quiet. Just gonna skip. Alright. And yeah, so here we are. We're going to be sitting here. We're just going to talk about the subject at hand. Something that I would consider as concerning. Right. So, something that I've seen come up a lot in recent years, months, and weeks at varying degrees that I feel like needs to kind of be explored as a topic is the relationship between developers and players. So what I mean by this, I see, I follow content creators such as Mordog, which is the design head for TFT, and I also follow people like Pirate Software. Surprise, surprise. I got a little like on one of my tweets the other day from him, and I'm super happy about that. Point is, though, is there is realistically an issue that exists. However, I'm not expecting to give an answer to that issue. I just kind of want to explore the issue and kind of lay out my understanding of it in case someone would like to come along and correct any information I have there, or just be willing to discuss with that, or potentially maybe it helps you come up with an answer for yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's no way I can give you an answer for this. It's a very contextual situation. So, what we have at the moment a lot of the time is devs versus players. Oops. Now, what is devs versus players? One good example of this is, again, Mortdog TFT. He gets a lot of this, and he does a good job of being able to put up with this, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, it's really stupid. But the player, so what the devs, let's talk about what they do, what they perceive, right? So devs, we're talking developers, the actual people making the game, by the way. This is the big stress that happens. So developers need to make a living. Let's just... Developers need food. So they need to be able to make money. normally they also love the game. All right, so they need to eat. They love the game that they're working on, but also they're bad at communication. These are the three defining traits of a lot of developers. Now, I'm not saying every developer needs this exactly. Some do it as a passion project, so they don't care too much about the monetary return. Very rarely, some will work on a game that they do not have passion for, but that's starting to get real corporate with, which will kind of avoid looking at that too much. And then there is bad at communication, which I see the majority of the time. Now, players, they have expectations. And this is probably the fucking worst part of this. So, a player wants to have expectations, and now I'm going to write it very specifically here. They want the most fun for them. This phrasing does matter to this. So let's kind of delve into this, because I want to see how well I can kind of explain this and analyze this. So a lot of the time what I'm seeing is players going like, this is super imbalanced, how dare you release this like this, where's the B patch, oh, you guys don't know how to balance your own game, do you even care, these sorts of things. And I'm gonna be honest, right? I luckily enough don't have to deal with this too much with the game that I'm developing at this stage, and that's partly because I'm just so low profile that, I mean, the amount of followers that actually care about the game that I'm working on, I can count probably in maybe, if I'm lucky, 2 hands, which is upsetting. I would like more people to be able to enjoy and play the game, but also the game's just not at a point where I can even consider that being reasonable to request. The game on my computer is really, really fun, but it's still got some issues, whereas the game that's currently on itch.io, that is the same game technically, is just, I'm pretty sure I would tear my hair out trying to play it. Comparatively, it's just not there yet. Which is why I've been working so hard for this next update, to try and actually make sure so much is cleaned up for it. Now, that's where we get to this point of players have expectations of what is expected of the game. So do developers, by the way. I want to stress this. Developers have an expectation, and they normally have a fairly well set out expectation. Doesn't mean they always nail it. An example of this, again, we're going to use TFT a lot for this because this is one that I have analyzed a lot for these sorts of aspects. TFT has a thing called combat pacing. And this is a huge balance point, is they try and balance around combat pacing a lot. So if one character does a lot of damage, typically it will be single target. Whereas inversely, a multi-target character might do a lot less damage than they normally would. The reasoning is to mean that they will get their damage soaked by, like, say, frontline. Just gonna get rid of all of that. So that's the idea with the combat pacing. They balance around that. So sometimes they get it wrong. And sometimes combat pacing isn't involved in what is wrong. In the recent patch, Kai'Sa, a full cost unit. If you've never played the game, shorthand is there's a shop of characters with varying costs, and based on the level of your kind of tactician or you as the player, you have increasing odds at higher cost units, and higher cost units tend to be stronger than lower cost units. And when you have multiple of the same unit at a certain amounts, they will go and turn into a 2-star version or a 3-star version. And 3-star being the strongest it can possibly be. And then there's items and all sorts. Point is, one of the characters, Kai'Sa, broke this a little, as well as a character, Na, which Kai'Sa is a 4 cost. Kai'Sa is Inkshot, Trick Shadow, fucking hell, Inkshot and Trick Shadow, wow, amazing. Ink Shadow and Trick Shot. Ink Shadow is a origin trait that means that if you have enough of them, you get special sigil items that you can put on your units. And Trick Shot is if you have other trick shots and stuff like that, you can balance your projectiles. Now, she's always been kind of on the weaker side, I would argue. Personally, I never really enjoyed her gameplay loop, but there were moments where she was strong and she was the correct answer. It's the same with, like, there's one character I do not like their gameplay loop, which is Ashe, and that's it, for full cost Ashe. That's a sniper porcelain. Doesn't mean I have, I've won with her a few times, and she has actually gotten buffed a couple of times, but point is, so you've got that character is doing really well because her spell that is bouncing does a lot more damage than it really should have. It was a little too high. Especially for 1 and 2-star versions of her, where, yeah, you could just kind of melt through the front line not too quickly, but the problem was because of the trick shot aspect of it, it targets the back line. And the back line, if they die, you lose that team loses their damage sources, because normally your damage is in your back line. And if you don't have any damage, then you can't get through their front line, and then eventually it just becomes this kind of like, oh cool, well, I've lost. It's not a fun experience. There's a reason why the trait that's commonly known as Assassin has been absent for so long in TFT. Because that was all about getting to your backline and basically deleting it, and it's like cool, it's interesting for positioning, but not a lot of players enjoyed it. Now, then the other character that was problematic was Gnar, and Gnar was a 2-cost, it's Warden Dryad, I believe, and the change they did to him was in reflection of a arguably inelegant change that they had to do to another item that was becoming problematic. So the change to Gnar, regardless of what the change was to the item and stuff, was when he takes damage or deals damage, when he's attacked or attacks, he gains a stack, and each stack takes, based on his ability power, gives him attack damage. Now, what it used to be, it was 50 stacks, I believe, and it gave like 2% AP to AD before. It wasn't a great ratio, but it worked, and you could play it as a carry. It was really weird though, but I mean, it was possible. It's a 2-cost. You're not supposed to really play reroll carries with 2 costs most of the time, because they get quite easily ellipsed in power unless you manage to knock out and stop people from being too greedy and transition really well in the late game. They're great for like getting you to that late game though, if you're smart and you're lucky. The problem was that they changed the amount to 25, but they buffed the amount of damage it gave to double. So it's basically they had doubled and halved. It's half as many stacks, but double the amount of damage per stack. This creates a compounding issue where he would stack up too quickly and got really good damage going, and yeah, he would just ruin people and be really hard to kill. Is that fun to play against? No, I would argue a lot of people didn't like that. I mean, a lot of people don't enjoy Yone still for his playstyle, which I agree. It's kind of, I think he's one of the more unhealthy backline accesses currently. I think there's room for him to be fine, but I do think that there needs to be some work done. So what we have there is some people, and people are going to basically use the strongest thing. It's always going to be the case. So people are using those strong things because they want the most fun for them. Then you've got people that don't want to use those things or don't really care or anything like that, and they're losing to this potentially, or they're struggling against it and all that sort of stuff. Sure, they might feel accomplished if they beat it, all that sort of thing, but at the end they're like, well, that wasn't as fun because someone was just doing the thing that everyone does. Every game is the same, yada yada yada. And it's like, well, first of all, while each game can be slightly different, if you play like 10 games of TFT in a day, you're gonna see probably like you're gonna see a lot of duplications of compositions. In fact, I would actually argue this set has had the least amount of duplications out of any others for that stuff, because of stuff like Exalted, which is actually a really cool design, and I think there's a lot more room to explore that sort of thing in the future, I hope. So, people have expectations of what the game's going to be like, and then they also want the most fun to them. So the expectation is that it's going to be fair. It's not going to be fair. And especially in a game like TFT, which has random as part of it, it isn't going to be fair. And that's the point. Now, yes, there is behind the scenes things to improve RNG for each player, and all that, but it doesn't stop it from often not actually managing to be enough. And again, that's not a problem per se. The problem is that if the expectations of the devs and the expectations of the players do not align, there is problems. Now I'm going to use another game example for that, which is Warframe. Warframe had a long-standing issue that the developers have just given up on at this stage, I feel, which is Warframe players, when something drops. So okay, there's two states of Warframe, and this is why I always get kind of bored of it very quickly, and I admit I'm one of those problem people because I've been playing for so long. It's just kind of how the mentality goes. Warframe is a game where when content drops, you kind of want it all done and dusted within like the weekend. It's like, I have my update, so I want everything and I want it now. That's the expectation. That's not the case all the time. Like there's a new mission type stuff that exists at the moment that I actually don't have access to, and I really should farm up for it if I want to keep playing a bit of Warframe in my spare time with my friends that I have. So that is the big issue that has existed in Warframe, is this balancing of the game is so RNG dependent, and it's, the more I have played other games now, the more I have really understood how bad of a system that is. Because I come from like playing World of Warcraft and a lot of those games. RNG drops, at least somewhat pseudo RNG drops, but mostly RNG drops, I was used to. I grew up on that shit. I'm pretty sure most people that are maybe in their 20s onwards have grown up with like really irritating RNG in their games. And the thing is, now new games have realized that people like RNG, but they like to win. And if you let them win enough, then that gets the dopamine enough continuing to flow that the player will be still happy to keep playing. An example is Star Rail, Honkai Star Rail, with its relics and planars and stuff like that. I can farm a guaranteed piece, or two pieces, for example. However, and they're of exactly the set that I want. However, the substats on them aren't possibly what I want. But I'm guaranteed my item. So it means that I see the golden border and everything, and I'm happy. But then I don't get the thing I want, and it's like, well, that's annoying. And then I can disenchant it, and then make more of the golden border things, and it's like, ooh, I'm happy again. And then I still don't get the fucking crit rate and crit damage that I want, and I cry. But that's the point, right? It's like, these games are designed with that in mind. It's that the ebb and flow, and they're a lot better at it nowadays than they were in the past. And Warframe suffers from that. Warframe suffers from people want their stuff and they want to get everything now and immediately and not have to wait multiple weeks. I remember when Archon Shards got released, there was big issues with that because your frame can have 5 Archon Shards equipped. You had a chance of getting a Tau Forge, which is just an upgraded Archon Shard. And these Archon Shards would give you just very minor stat buffs, but they were stat buffs. They were stats you would not have unless you had those shards, right? They weren't replacing anything else, they were the new thing to just add on top. Did you need them? Fuck no. Like, seriously, you do not need Archon Shards to make Warframes good, and I say this from the perspective of I barely farmed any, and I'm still able to keep up with all of my friends that have, some of them do have farmed a lot of them. It's great. I don't mind. But the problem was that, yeah, it was logged behind a weekly thing, and it was RNG based. They improved the RNG, they added another way to get them, and then now there is like four different ways? Yeah, about 4 different ways to get them, still slightly RNG based, but it's like those other ones, it's like, oh, well, you can do this 5 times per week. Oh, this other one, you can also do this 5 times per week. Because that way, people have a much higher odds of getting it and can get them faster. And this is the problem, is that expectation means that Warframe has to be played, like, it's either the developers fight hard to change that expectation and potentially alienate themselves from their player base, or they commit to that expectation and it could make the game better. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it also can make the game worse. I would say that in some ways that's happened to Warframe, not completely. And also I want to stress this is not just video games that this logic does apply to. I've used this argument on Supernatural a few times. As the later seasons were the production and cast wanting to continue it and the audience wanting to continue it, but the story had easily lasted longer than it should have and it inflated too far. I think the last couple of seasons show that. It's tragic. It's that whole, like, you watch your favorite thing grow so long that it becomes awful and you're like, well, I kind of want to put it down to save both of us the fucking trouble. Now, going back to this, so there was also the Apex incident that happened like a month or so ago, I want to say. And that is an example of that bottom thing we have on devs, which is bad communication. My heart goes out to the developers on Apex that had to deal with that stuff. I don't like the game. I've never played it, nor do I really intend to. Maybe one day, if I get the right kind of group to play it with. But basically there was some really questionable events occurring around a specific set of players and stuff. Now, supposedly one of these players was able to do a lot of hacking and stuff like that. Now, To what it was, I can't speak because while I have some knowledge in that field, a lot of mine is unofficial, and I can't pull up my credentials on it because, again, of how unofficial it all is. But this is where I will regurgitate a lot of the stuff that someone that can be used as a valid reference point is Pirate Software. Pirate Software talked about how there was a lot of things going and using Occam's razor, stuff like that. He kind of gauged what's the most likely things that are going on using those arguments. So he gave forward his arguments, and they were not close to what people were thinking it was. Because a lot of people were going like, oh, well, they can hack my game, like hack my computer via the game. I'm going to be honest, the game, very few games allow for that. Like, very few can even have that. There was big issues with New World, I want to say it was, the Amazon game, because they didn't disallow certain scripting in their chat. The chat was basically, you could write programming into it, which is not good. That's not what you want to have. Which surprised me a lot. Like, I feel like it should have been just a string, right? Like, it should have been pull it as a string and not as an actual, I don't know. It was a big fuck up, and it really killed that game. I genuinely think that the game would have done really well if it hadn't had that situation. But hindsight's 2020, right? Anyway, going back to the Apex thing, there was really bad communication by the developers about what was going on from some of their side, and then you have the players seeing like I can't know the exact thing, but like you see like the Twitter announcing, hey, this is going to be the next skins that are coming out, or the next character stuff, or whatever. And you've got players that are currently up in arms, going like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? You fucking game's on fire and you're advertising this. And I want to stress, this is where I kind of point back to the thing we talked about really early on. That's not developers, that's marketing team. They're different. If you've ever worked in any company before, even like somewhere like a fast food place, right? Are you in charge of, if you worked at McDonald's, are you in charge of McDonald's marketing if you're behind the counter? You could make an argument, yes, but like, are you the person that's actually designing those signs behind you, that's making the burgers look the way they do? Are you in charge of the nutrition stuff that's going on? No, you are doing what is in your realm of stuff to work on. You are part of McDonald's, but you're not like working on everything inside of McDonald's everywhere all at once. It's not how that sort of job works. So it's the same with devs. Developers are developing the game, and within that space, some are developing specifically using, again, like Apex as an example. Some would be specifically working on weapons, some might be working on physics, some might be working on abilities, some might be working on characters, some might be working on map design, there might be someone doing like a bunch of specific modeling things. Like, you can't just say the devs don't care, and they do. But this is where I point at the whole bad communication aspect. In Teamfight Tactics, Mort does a fair good job of going to Twitter and posting, hey, we're doing this, we're kind of thinking about getting this done within the day, this is what's going on, and just give the information as it needs to be given. That's great. It's very stressful and it requires a lot of work and effort, so big praise for doing that, but that is what I feel like players need now, because it helps bridge that gap. that mistaken gap that a lot of people have. Some devs don't care, trust me. Some people treat it like a plain job. Yes, I'm not saying that's not the case. Again, that's what I talked about earlier. But that is far and few between of this argument. The problem lies with the fact that at the end of the day, I would argue the majority of developers would want the best for the project that they're working on. Regardless of if they actually really care or not, they care about the product being good. Whether they're passionate about specifically what the game is or not, that's a different argument. For example, I'm not hugely passionate about the game that I was working on yesterday, the little fucking mobile ad one. I'm not hugely going like, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. Like, I'm doing it as a practice and an exercise. I'm enjoying it, but that's about it. If I was brought into a company, it was to make those games. Could I make them? Yes. Would I enjoy it? Probably not. But also there's that argument of, do I get paid at the end of the day? And do I get to kind of do stuff that I enjoy? Yeah. Some enjoy the programming, some enjoy the developing, yada yada yada. Point is that communication from the development side is something that needs to improve. And this is where ironically I actually reflect on, but there is the point of going too far. What I mean by this is Warframe did that a lot. Warframe overshared with the players, and this created the circumstance that occurred around 2019 and onwards, partly because of the pandemic, but it really hurt Warframe's image. So Warframe, I want to say it was 2019 or 2018, announced Railjack, and they announced the new war, both of which have now been released at this stage. Those two things were advertised very differently, and it took them 2 to 3 years to be able to even show anything again about them. It took a long time. They showed it far too early. They were too transparent about some of it, and then they cut off the communication all of a sudden about it, which then immediately caused a panic, and that swelled for like a year. So communication is a double-edged blade. It quickly can turn back on the developers and screw them over, because then the players will use it as an argument. So it's difficult to really get it quite right. If I could say one thing to this topic, the developers, the providers, they provide value with the media type that is video games. Don't need to, but still, must think about it, it's still art, or a form of plain entertainment that still can yeah, it's a valid interjection, right? Is at the end of the day, actually that's a really good way of looking at it, right? Do you think, I don't see it often, but like, do I see in the game sphere them like rail on a specific artist's sort of thing? Not often. In fact, more often than not, I'd see praise. Then again, I've seen the stuff about the I can't remember it. It's the woman that looks very gorgeous, but is apparently super over sexualized and awful and stuff, and it means it's devaluing women. God, there's an argument to that, but we'll leave that for a different discussion. But at the end of the day, like, developers are not making everything about the game, especially when we're talking on larger scale. The big stress is, and this is where Stellar Blade, that sounds right. What's actually happening is it's not normally devs versus players where a lot of the issues turn up. Like, there's the whole argument, oh, this bug's existed in the game for like 5 years. Why have the developers not worked on it? It's not the devs' fault. You know who it really is? It's these two. And it's actually versus fucking the corporate. Fucking corpos. It's more of a social dynamics thingy with the game. Oh, okay, I won't speak too much to it. I'll do some research and I'll maybe bring up a topic of it properly later. But the point is that, yeah, so going back to this. On topic, it's devs and players working together against the fucking people above them. Now, I'm not going to keep that up because that's kind of silly looking. But that is realistically... developers might love the game dearly, but they also are told you need to do this. So, well, we don't really agree with that. And it's like, if they've got a good boss, then they'll listen. If they don't, then they'll make another FIFA. I do apologize to that joke. I do feel bad for the people that work on those games because they are passionate people sometimes, but it's also there's issues. We get two stands, engine bad or devs bad at using the engine, from what I've heard recently on YouTube. I don't think I agree with that sort of mentality. Again, like, it's just, there's so many problems with, like, blaming anyone in particular. It's because, again, that's at the end of the day, like, it's all blame game. It's, oh, well, I lost this match because the game is bad. And it's like, well, then don't play it. It's like, but I enjoy the game when it goes well. And it's like, yeah, well, then you have to have a better mental to kind of handle that stuff. It's how it works. Go take a walk and process it if you're really struggling, because that's how we used to do it. So that's where, yeah, again, this comes back to the, so players have expectations, so do developers, but without problems, you cannot improve though. Yeah, I actually do agree with that. That's where the big point of Mort Dog talked about at one point, which was if, like, they asked, it's like, oh, if the game was balanced, would you continue to, like, release patches to change the balance? And it's like, well, no. If it was perfectly balanced, why would we? We would not change anything if it is in its perfect state, but it's never going to hit that. Realistically, they kind of did with the last set, but I didn't personally enjoy the last set, so I didn't get to enjoy the game in its most balanced state. I enjoy this set though, and it's not without its issues, but it's also a lot better than some of the sets in the past. Which then you get people going like, oh, well, it's not. And it's like, well, that's probably because you're looking back at those older sets through rosy tint. Or you watched YouTube videos and were like, oh, I remember when you could do this stupid and silly thing. It's like, had its charm, but it was really bad. I still remember exactly which set is my favorite, but I'm not going to say it was a good set. And that was the set where it was the 0.5 where they added Silco for the first time. I absolutely love that with the arcane set, basically. The Hextech cores and getting added. Genuinely think that was the best point in the game in my eyes, was that 0.5. I think, is that 5.5 or I think that's 6.5, right? But point is, I'm getting distracted now again. Yeah, no, they want what's most fun for them. Each player wants what's most enjoyable for them. So some people are gonna... That's where you get the fact of different classes in games. Even a single player game, you might have a summoner, you might have a warrior, you might have an archer, you might have a wizard. It's like, well, the wizard's stronger. And it's like, yeah, but it's by such a small margin, it doesn't really matter. And at the end of the day, the person just wants to play what's fun. Like, Baldur's Gate 3. Every single class in that's fucking fun in its own way for silly, silly things. You can do a lot of stupid things, and I love that. Kind of get what you mean there. But it's just... But again, this is more of a kind of on-topic thing that I want to just get off my chest with a lot of this. Just this point is, yeah, no, I hate seeing this discourse because it makes me concerned, because then you get, and this is one that there is no right person in this situation. I want to stress this. You had the Asmongold situation where he talked about how players don't care if AI art is used or anything, they want the product. If the product is fun and looks pretty and enjoyable, they don't care how it's made. And it's true. Realistically, as a consumer, you don't care. You don't care that corporate is literally whipping their workers, that all these really messed up things are happening behind the scenes. Some people do. I'm not saying everyone just doesn't care. We saw that with Blizzard, for example. A lot of exodus away from Blizzard. Blizzard has lost a lot of attention. It's rough. But at the end of the day, even I still played a bit of Hearthstone from time to time while they still had the problems going on, because I enjoyed the game. And did I feel kind of shit for doing that? Sometimes I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to play because I'm not happy about it all. I know, like, it was the main reason I never got back to WoW and did decide to go to play Final Fantasy, was it 14, 13, whatever the one is that the MMO is. And it's a shitty thing to hear from a developer, but it is how the consumers think. And at the end of the day, that goes to show, though, as well from that, I'd like to formulate your previous words in a slightly other way. People like to play value-providing games. Some see good graphics, some see good interactivity. Yeah, I think that's valid to kind of criticize the way I said. Basically, I mean, that's where you get the we still have the whole, like, is this game worth the money? And we're in an era where it's like, dude, if you enjoy the game, it doesn't matter, right? Like, there's free-to-play games that are better than $100 games, and then there's $100 games that are better than anything else in the market. It doesn't matter. Price is such a negligible aspect now. It is a gate to entry, I will agree with that, and that's kind of sucks. But we've also seen that, I mean, we're in the era of the huge rise of indie development in the last 7-ish years. I mean, I would argue post Undertale is the big, like, era-defining moment where we've just, from there, indie developers actually feel more comfortable releasing stuff, it's progressing, and it's improving. And in that environment, we see passion. But the problem is we also see burnout. And this is something that I do think is misunderstood a lot, is like with the game I work on, right? The main game I'm working on. There has been points in time where I was working easily like 16 hours a day on just programming for days on end. I would wake up, I would eat something, I would work, I would maybe take a 10-20 minute break to grab something else to eat at lunchtime, keep working, take a like half-hour break in the evening to make dinner, and then keep working until late into the night, and then fall asleep at my desk a little bit, realize I need to go to bed, wake up, and repeat that cycle. That is not good. That is really bad, but that is what indie developers are like. They're way too passionate, and it pushes them too far. That's why there's the whole joke of it's either the game gets made in 3 years or 6 months, and pretty much nowhere in between for indie developers. Which, sadly enough, it looks like my game that I'm currently working on is moving in that direction. The fact that this is we're over a year now that it's been worked on. We're coming up on a year and a half near when it will probably be actually out. we live in such hard times where it's hard for both devs and players. Corpos aren't just corpos. I think more of them, it's a group of devs that are ordered what to do. No, yes, if we're looking at like actual studios and stuff, that is true. That is 100% the case. Is we're at a point where I'm hearing a lot of like AAA games are looking more and more like Hollywood, where they're just releasing fucking whatever because it makes money. And it doesn't make a lot of, like, it makes a lot of fucking money, but it also doesn't make as much money as it would have if they'd actually just spent that extra few months, like, thinking on some things. I mean, thankfully, Helldivers 2 and, which is slightly indie-ish from memory, but it's still kind of a studio. But, Baldur's Gate 3 is the best example in recent time of like a really hugely passionate one. Investors, yeah, that is probably the main group to a thing, like blame when it comes down to it, because investors do get to push a lot of their agendas through, and there's all sorts of stuff to that. Is where, again, I hate seeing that this is what we've come to, this era of devs versus players, because this is a lot of the topic of what I see online talked about by a variety of people, and in some of my cohort and lecturers in my degree, which again, this is a lot of the stuff we study. And one of the biggest things that is getting talked about by the lecturers, and I think this is really interesting to kind of talk on, is player entitlement. Players are really fucking entitled little shits. And there's a level of, well, can you change that? Is there anything you can do? And realistically, no. Because that goes back to that Asmongold statement of they don't care where it comes from, they care about the outcome. Again, I'm specifically pulling from the Asmongold statement on this. I don't agree with, again, I agree with it, but not happy about it. They don't even know the market besides all the numbers. I know that they need to generalize, but yeah, it does feel like there's some lacking research sometimes by investors and on that higher end for some things. I will say it does suck that a fair few game companies that are on the higher end also don't release their statistics, and there's a few reasons why. One example, for this is Riot Games with TFT. We've gotten jack shit in the way of statistics out of that game. We do not know player numbers, we do not know platforms, we don't know the profitability of TFT, we don't know any of that stuff. We can estimate based on circumstance. We're pretty damn sure it's fucking profitable. The fact that they can keep pushing the size of their team and the quality of each of the things, like they can get artists and developers on such a scale that they can. Yeah, it's definitely profitable. Like 100%, we're not in question of that, I don't think. But what is the player percentage? Like, how many are playing on mobile? This is a big question, right? The Warhammer 40k, yeah. It's difficult when companies aren't willing to be transparent with that information, but I know why, and it's because they don't, because I'm gonna be honest, right? You want to actually make money? Make auto battlers. People want to play those at the moment. Like a roguelite auto battler with infinite scaling in the air, like basically a set amount of time playing it, and then a like uncapped endless mode to it as well. That is what people want to play at the moment. You can see that in the sales numbers, the popularity of those games. It's insane. Like, there's, again, I'm pretty sure if Riot had released some of the information about TFT, why not Candy Crush Saga? Oh, Jesus. True, yeah, that game's not been made 7 billion times. But no, I'm pretty sure Valve would have actually committed to Dota Underlords more. Because they kind of gave up because they saw Riot did it better, but they also just didn't find value in it. Very clearly, and it's Valve being like, oh, this could make me a few $1 million. That's not that much money, so we don't care. That is how they think, and that is fair when you're making money on such a grand scale. The fact is, it's very accurate to say that Valve has infinite money available to them. If they really want to do something, they can probably fucking do a lot. But that's where I say, like, that's the tactics behind why probably Riot doesn't. There's probably many reasons, but that's one of the many reasons why TFT is, like, so secretive about its data. Riot with League is not too much better. There is some ways of getting those numbers, though. But specifically with TFT, there has been bugger all. And that's what matters, right? Is like, without that information being public, investors aren't going to bother to care for getting that information because they don't play these games. They don't fucking... Their grandkids probably play these games, not them. And that's where you get that situation of then they put pressure on the executives, and then the executives put pressure on the developers, and then developers do not produce a product to the scale that they could easily. Imagine that Sweet Baby Inc. got Valve on their website client. God. But it's aggravating because that's what that like higher end AAA title games are like, and this is why people are so hyped about indie games, because they're not got so many of these problems openly. I want to stress again, indie developers are live in inhuman conditions a lot of the time. Or treat themselves very poorly, and I wish that there was better things in place for that. I say this from the perspective of I'm also really bad for this. I would love to set up like an actual like one of my things I'd love to do is set up a better network for especially mental health for indie game developers, and actually have people that have gone through that sort of stuff, that have worked in that environment, that it can actually talk to. Because one of the things that people need is people that have kind of done that stuff and be able to relate. One thing I was, ironically enough, this sounds very off the wall, but one of the things I was hearing talked about was the difference between veterans coming back from World War II and veterans coming back from Vietnam in the US. Is in World War II, they were coming back on ships most of the time for like the US ships, and it meant that they got to stay with all of their buddies, they got to stay in their groups, and they could kind of debrief with them and process what the fuck they just saw, because they saw some shit. They saw some really, really fucked up shit. No, they still probably didn't ever truly get over any of it, but it helped them manage it better. Vietnam vets, well, they were fucking put on a plane and shipped straight back. Not even with their own squad, potentially. They didn't get to debrief. They get home and they're surrounded by a bunch of people that are happy and bubbly, that have lived in peace, comparison to what they lived in, which was hell. How do you handle that mentally? That's not easy. Now, this is obviously a very extreme example, but it's still valid. People need commonality to be able to vent in some capacity. Not always, mind you. Sometimes it's fine to vent in just naturalist cases, but as any kind of profession, you could group up, but usually antisocial's hidden, and that's how yeah. A lot of indies are solo devs, and they do incredible work, but it's also, yeah, they are antisocial. They're reclusive individuals, and anxiety has gotten worse and worse. But that's a topic for another day, going into that aspect. It's just, yeah, again, that comes back to that whole bad communication kind of side of things as well, is that there's a lot of, it's not just AAA titles, it is sometimes indie devs that just don't communicate well, advertisement, all that stuff. And I'm no fucking exception, right? United has, so United had, VTubers United, which I'm going to be renaming that. I've had enough of that name, it's fucking awful. It's probably just going to be like VTuber Survivors or something like that, and then subtitle United is what I'm thinking. But anyway, it has a YouTube channel. There is 2 videos on it. And they are for each of the releases that I did, right? I believe that's what it is. Yep. There we go. It's right there. It's not that I don't advertise, it's that I don't advertise well. There's also a Twitter account for it. When was the last time I posted? It follows me. Wow, I follow myself. It's amazing. The last post was one of my dev streams getting reposted. Before that, it was March 11th. I had a worse day and wanted to ask you something, you know. I'm kind of trying to stick to topic with this kind of stream, but if you do want to chat, I am willing to help out. I mean, it is a just chatting environment. I just have an overarching topic that I wanted to be, I wanted to make sure I get all the key stuff out with. And I will try and nudge back to it when I need to. But yeah, I need to do better with these advertisements. One day. One day. Where is that? Yeah. Yeah. It is a big struggle with this environment. I'm glad people like Pyro Software exist because he's done an incredible job at helping bridge this gap. And yeah, I can rely on your stuff as a small YouTuber. In a whole week of VTubing a month ago, all I got was 8 views with Twitter advertising. Yeah, I mean, that is how a lot of it goes. It's rough. Content creation is not a pleasant sphere to be in, and it requires a lot of time and dedication. And I'm gonna be honest, it's just not often worth it. The fact is, this channel's not monetized in any capacity. I'll be transparent on that. I can actually pull up the fucking studio thing for it. It's quite far from. Anything hard, yeah. If I pull up here, we're looking for earn. I don't believe this shows any sensitive data last time I checked. But yeah, there you go. I'm far from monetization. This is the first stage of monetization, need I remind. This isn't even like ads. This is, you can donate and pay for memberships. Basically paid for subscription. Which is gonna not guarantee me any money at all. And I would not have high expectations on it. This is the one that would likely get me more money, but it's still going to probably be bugger all. Again, I don't do a lot of this for money. I do this because I enjoy it. And that is a mistake that a lot of people have, is they go like, oh, well, I'm getting into this because I can make money out of it. It's, again, kind of same with indie game dev, actually, ironically. It's managed to somehow still be topic related, but it is something that's important, right? It's just how it goes. My luckiest moment as a YouTuber was when I was around 5k views on 3 Let's Play episodes on my old channel when I was active back then. I mean, I had to look earlier today, and I won't show all of this. See how I can show a little bit of this. Now I'll probably just explain it. I'm not going to show it. But content wise, if I go to lifetime, I believe still to this date, one of my best live streams, let's see. Yeah, my 4th best live stream was like a couple of weeks ago. Which was the Hollow X Break one. And that's only 2,000. That's actually, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that's my peak concurrent viewers I ever had, which was 13. It's a 2,000 viewed video. My highest viewed video is 21.4k, and that was the what update was that for Hollow Cure? That was for the big update, I think, from memory, but it was like a fairly big update, and it just got a lot of traction. So it's hard, man. I mean, again, like, yeah, I can show this stuff. This is what I'm talking about. As for inspiration, I'm here to provide value somehow. Perhaps something about history of gaming. I mean, that's where it comes into, like, I mean, I have my constructed shorts that I want to get back to, because I really like doing that. I think I've only got fucking 3 of them. Is it 3? Is it 4? Content, playlists, shorts, 4. I have 4 of them. I think those constructed shorts, they started really badly and they got a lot better as time went on. But I really want to go back to them because I think that they're really useful exercises for me, and they're really enjoyable to make to an extent. They do take like fucking hours to do though, for what is less than 60 seconds. Gonna try your wits in Blender tomorrow. We'll start modeling a 3D avatar. Really comfortable with, I mean, Blender is a very interesting one. I think I played with it like, fuck, it would almost be 10 years ago, right? Shit. Like, to give an idea, I know I tried Blender when Ruby started coming out. So, backtrack that. And I mean, going to that sort of stuff as well. Like, that's a really useful skill if you can cultivate it, because it can be used for a variety of things. Could be used to potentially be commission work, could be game development again related, or it could just continue to be individual stuff. I mean, the amount of different things I see towards that. You've got fucking Juniper as a good example as a VTuber of someone that is actually fucking psychotic with how fucking incredible she keeps doing with her models, and she keeps making new ones faster than I can even fucking draw them in pixel form. I'm like 4 models behind now or some shit like that. Because I think there's the racing one, there's the priestess one that she's had recently. There's another one, and I feel like she's got a new one coming on the horizon. I'm like, fuck. I'm not ready for this. Awful. I don't have the fucking capacity to keep up. It's incredible. Incredible. I know. I mean, I still toss up if I should ever do VTubing stuff. I think it would be useful to some things, but if I ever did it, I'd probably end up just doing hybrid. To be fair, the channel's just moving more into game dev as it is. Oh. So again, I will apologize if I felt like I maybe was a bit intense about the topic thing, because I had a rule set in my head, and I'll talk about it now that I've managed to pass that rule, that the goal was to have the stream go for a minimum of an hour and an upper cap of 2 hours. We've now hit an hour, and I wanted to make sure that I could speak to a topic for an hour without it getting too rambly. It did get rambly at moments, but I think I did a decent job of being somewhat coherent, and that's the main goal of today's stream, because it was testing to see if we would do this again in the future. Because this is probably the, again, I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning, this is probably the most like irregular concept that we will have. I don't know if this is going to be weekly or what, but this is what we've got for now. Because, and like what time it will be as well, it's kind of up for debate, because this was 3 PM that it started, 4 PM now. I don't think this is too bad, but it's also got some aspects to it. I have plans of making multiple outfits, but quest systems where I can upgrade and add new outfits by completing tasks like completing scans and genres. Oh, okay. Yeah, that seems interesting. A compelling idea. Oh. Oh, fuck no. Sorry, I also should, this is where I can speak a bit more openly now, because like I said, past essential topic time. I spent like all morning editing, doing like a bunch of shorts up, I think. I'm still not fully up to date on my short editing. I'm still like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish weeks behind. Which is fucking annoying, but hey, I'll get there. It takes time. You're not just here to ramble about one topic, you're here to be wise, so don't press yourself. I mean, yes and no. Like, again, the point was for this one was to be an experiment to see if I could like talk to a topic for that period of time, because I've kind of done it before in streams, but they were while playing games, and it would often basically end up pausing the game for an hour, which wasn't a bad thing, mind you, in my opinion. It's kind of fun, but I do feel that that's why I like doing the game dev streams as much, is because I can kind of exit working on the project to talk to topics, because while I'm not that old, I have lived a fairly full life at this stage, I'd argue, and that has allowed me a perspective on certain aspects that can be useful to people. I also have enough experience with a lot of things, to be able to kind of use my knowledge transitionally, which is a big important thing that I think is very, very valuable. And I wish more jobs realized how valuable it was. But yeah, it is how it is, right? Yeah, no, fucking, I mean, I was actually up quite late last night playing with some friends, playing Warframe. That was fun. But yeah, it got to like about 10 o'clock and we were all like, oh, we'll start finishing up. And we got into like the last couple of conversations, ended up going to like half an hour later. And I'm like, fuck, I just sort of go to bed. Because Nito remind, I like to go to bed at like 7, it's between 7 and 9 easily is when I like to go to bed. Because I'm an old fucking man. As the title of all of my stuff, Malith the Old Man. I love how that's still like my selling point. And I want to stress that this isn't something that I self-imposed as well. Like, still to this day, I just get my friends like flick me a message going, hey, I need a vent and I need advice. Can you like hop on call on Discord? And I'm like, sure, I don't mind. I do it all the time, and it's just because even if I've not gone through it exactly, I can figure out how a person's feeling a lot of the time, especially if I know them. And from there, not give them the answer, but give them some peace of mind, some de-stress, and potentially a way of reaching an answer. I'm not here to give you answers. You're there to give you answers. I'm there to help you figure out a good answer. Because if I give you the answer, then what actually has happened? And yeah, I know, there's a reason I did a degree for teaching. Great idea for a teacher. Stopped them in the public library as usual. They got an Xbox One and grinded for Forza Horizon. Yeah. What a nice Jeep, modded off-roader. Sometimes it feels just good. Yeah, no, it's... I mean, I've talked about like my walks are important, but I do play games to de-stress as well. And I don't... There is a level of excessive gameplay though, and that's where, not going fully back to topic, but there's some of that stuff comes in, right? Is... you get people that play TFT basically day in, day out, or play Warframe day in, day out, and it's like, it's just not healthy. It's just not okay, man. Like, just chill. You're alright, bud. But you can pull back and relax. It's okay. This isn't like the end of the world if you don't get this one thing today. And yeah, no, I mean, Warframe has a problem of like easily becoming a job game. And that's what you need to avoid, is job games. Or if you do have a job game, pace it in a way that doesn't end up feeling like that. Star Rail is that, in a sense. Like, again, I mentioned every day before stream. I think... What is it? What's a good example? With it. To give it... So I start a stream at 8 o'clock. I have my breakfast at about 6 a.m. I clean up, everything like that. I come back maybe about 10-20 minutes before 7 to my my room, and I start playing Star Rail, and I play it for like 20-30 minutes before stream, and then maybe I'll do an extra thing in it that pushes me a bit longer, or otherwise I will start doing like some early setup. My excessive game was TFT. Oh god. 900 hours is a lot, but like, okay, I want to stress Warframe's not my highest played game of all time. WoW is. WoW has like over an hour, over a year in game on some of my characters. But like Warframe was an excessive play one for me. And yeah, I played a bit of Warframe. So when I speak to Warframe situations, I feel like I've got a little bit of grey behind my hairs when with the essentials on it. Started the day at 8 o'clock, played card shit and no, yeah. Well, no, I don't per se. I start stream at 8 a.m. It's great. I would start earlier. I used to start earlier. The streams used to start at like 5 a.m. But the agreement with me and the person I live with is that's fucking far too early. And because sound travels, that's just unfair on them. Potentially getting woken up at 5 a.m. by me just talking. Which I 100% agree with. Once we kind of set that standard, we're like, yep, no, we agree. That's not okay. Not doing that again. But yeah, no, I easily would go back to that if I must. And yeah, just think about that. I told you I basically am up 2 hours before my stream. Imagine that back when I was doing my streams at 5 a.m. or 5:30, I think it was. Because they would... I remember quite well of this. I would wake up at about 5-ish. Well, like I would wake up at about 4, maybe 3. I would lie there for like an hour or so watching stuff. I would get up, go quickly grab something to eat, and like maybe if I'm lucky, and then just go to bathroom, come back, and then just start stream. That was such a panicky time. Now it's way nicer, and I can just kind of like go, oh yeah, I can just get up at 6. I woke up at 4 anyway. Just start waddling, go to the bathroom, and go have some toast and some Wheat Bix, and then waddle back to my room after cleaning up and cleaning all the dishes, and yeah, then gotcha. It's the little things. It's the little things. I mean, you want to know my little thing that so everyone's got like that one thing that they love doing the most. I know what my one thing that I love doing the most, and I can't do it as often at the moment just because it's expensive, is fish and chips and like a beer or two, and just watching like comedy anime or silly movies or something like that. That is my favorite thing ever. You ever want to get me in the best mood ever, you get me like a massive old big bag of fish and chips. I'm talking like 2 fish, 2 hot dogs, a bunch of fucking potato fritters, and some chips. Great times. Have that. I don't finish that because that's just way too much, but it's there. And like give me a 500 ml of like super dry Sapporo, and just can love it, absolutely love it. So about your YouTube recommendations, why the heck kiddos are still baited on these XYZ VTuber is horny again type yeah, there's a lot of highlight content for VTubers is in a lot of categories, but I say this with like a very specific angle I'm coming at with this. I don't enjoy horny VTubers at all, really, for that aspect, but I have some of those VTubers I actually think are really cool, and I do watch Shy Lily's one, for example. But yeah, I don't watch her because of the horny stuff. I watch her because I think she's enjoyable. Though I admittedly, again, don't watch as many people nowadays because I'm not at a time where most of them stream. Like, I'm not awake. Because most of them either are streaming when I'm streaming or they're streaming when I'm asleep. Which, want to stress, Pirate Software, I have never caught one of your streams. I fucking wish I could. Man, why do you have to stream literally when I go to bed and then when I wake up? It's pain. Actual worst part of it. Horny good situationally, but has its limits. Yeah, like Mel I enjoy as well, but it's just like, if I watched 5 highlight clips of the horny jokes in a row, I'm probably gonna just go like, cool, I need to turn off from the internet because this is just not fun anymore. I enjoy highlights like that, but there's a reason why like I just tend to watch them paced out as it is. Try and take my time with them. It's got its things to it. I mean, the fact of how much on Twitter I see of like, oh, this VTuber is 18 plus only, and I'm just like, I guess it's an advertisement, but like, is that really a thing you want to do? Is that really fun? I don't know. They're lacking of relationships, yeah. See, I mean, you get this fucking messed up stories from some of them that I'm just like, dear God, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, why did you stick that there? And those sorts of things, I'm like, nah, I'm good, thanks. I'm not into that. But at the end of the day, I will also stress with content creation, it's about finding your audience and enjoying what you're doing. If you can't do those two things, then there's going to be issues long term. I know a lot of content creators that don't enjoy what they do, but they have found their audience, and it becomes this really harsh battle. One example of this is one of my like go to sleep streamers that I absolutely love is Roffle. He does Hearthstone content. Fucking love him. He's awesome. He's recently branched out into Balatro, and he did branch into Slay the Spy for a little bit as well. But it's been met with mixed response from what I could see. I mean, I actually caught some of his streams, and I actually tried to give some positive notes of going like, dude, awesome to see you playing like Slay the Spire. You're awesome. I enjoy your stuff. Thank you very much. Which again, want to stress, if you have a YouTuber or anything like that you can do that to do it, because it actually does pick up their mood and it can actually help a lot. Sometimes just seeing that message of, hey, by the way, you're awesome. They might not respond. They might not always see it immediately. The thought is what counts. Right? It's not about $5 a month. It's about happiness and kindness and people being good to each other. People actually caring. It's a very, very important things. I mean, there was one that a few comments I saw on one of my shorts recently that did really get a smile out of me, which was just like someone going, I really hope you grow as a channel, sort of thing. Like, you keep going, you're awesome. And yeah, it's just really nice. Thank you. Because I never came in making this content with the it sounds weird. I never came in with the expectation that my content was going to actually be useful, beneficial, fun, or enjoyable to people. I just wanted to do what I could do to be and learn from it and all these sorts of things. I still don't think I'm anywhere what I need to be, but sometimes it's nice to hear that people think otherwise. Thinking about it right now. What's your opinion on male VTubers doing getting VTuber maidens any percent runs? Like, cringe, but if there were couples that men wow, then that's kind of like that whole, that reminds me of, and I know it's not very the same, but I dislike that whole, oh, if this gets so many likes, I will confess to my crush. Or if you win this game, I'll confess to my crush. It's like, well, maybe that's not the right thing to do. It's just kind of cringe. Kind of cringe, bro. As the kids say. I don't know, right? It's a... There's a level of, as long as the people involved are comfortable and are happy and can walk away happily, sure. But like, something that's misunderstood, I think, and I've heard professionals talk on this far better than I. Again, this is based on professional opinion and with my own conjecture. Do not take this as full-fledged advice, but one of the things that's important to remember is that a confession and a rejection involve two people, and it is unpleasant for two people, at least, right? Is the person asking someone else out and then getting rejected, they're gonna feel like shit. That's gonna hurt their self-esteem, their ego a lot, and that's not good. And it can potentially lead to a lot of problematic things later down the line. The other person denying them, they're gonna feel guilty, and that's gonna potentially lead to some long-term problems as well. The guilt level may be varying, mind you, but it is a thing that will exist still. And potentially that guilt just gets pushed down and put to a side, and that person never seems to display it, but it still might be there. I'm talking more on not cloud chasing, but getting to know someone, trying to find something. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my point that I'm going with it, is it's just like, that's why I say, like, the whole get so many likes and I'll confess to my crush. It's like, maybe you should actually talk with them. Because have you ever talked to this crush before? Or have you, in that case, it's like, have you ever talked to that VTuber? Have you actually bonded with them? Have you got a good relationship, a rapport going? Because even if they say yes, potentially that's actually a really bad thing, because then what happens if the relationship goes sour? Which it can happen. More than likely it will then. Well, maybe that's a bit more personal opinion coming in there. It's not, I don't know, I just, romantic relationships are definitely not the right space for me in my head for it, because I still have all the issues from last year going on, swirling up there. Not the perfect example of someone that's handled that stuff well. And it happens. I'm trying to do my best to manage it day by day. But I do think that if you want to get in, like, when you're seeking a romantic relationship of any capacity because you feel that it's important, it's normally not a good sign. Normally you need to be able to do something yourself. You need to be able to internalize and help process things yourself, because if you're looking for someone else to do that shit for you, well, keep in mind, they've got to still do it. And if you're not going to support them doing it, then you've just basically asked someone to take your problems and process them as well. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, yeah. It's always the issue with... I mean, I think I talked about this in another stream. Someone asked me about, like, the collabs and stuff. I think it actually might have been you, Milo, that asked me about collabs, and I did talk about if I was to collab with someone, I would want to have known them outside of stream. And, like, or like outside of the stream stuff, I would want to have talked to them before doing the collab. I would want to know what they're like. I would want to know, like, the hangout sort of stuff, because there's that aspect of it. Like, if I was given the opportunity to hang out with Pirate Software, right, I would want to do it off stream, because I would want to just chat with him and talk, because I would not feel comfortable in that environment as going like, oh hi, I'm a streamer that has fucking not even 800 subscribers on YouTube. Hi, this is this fucking giant of a content creator in terms of this. It's just, yeah. Even said it then that these times it's even, yeah. It's a difficult one. Like, it's collabing. I mean, I've stressed before, collabing something that I'm not against, but it's definitely not very high on my list. And when I do, it's probably going to be with people I've met in real life and actually are very close friends with. It's commonly what's happened on stream. I mean, the closest example against that, I guess, is the people that I've known for, at the time, it was like 2 years, and I've been chatting with them nearly every week online. And those were actually some of the most problematic people, because simply put, they were really hard to get to understand the concept of scheduling. That was really rough. But then I had my other friend, which I've played some fighter games and stuff like that on stream, and we also had the Honkai stream not that long ago, where we rolled characters for Acheron together. And that was great, and we planned that in advance. We got things going. That one was probably the worst example for scheduling, mind you, that Honkai one. But we had pretty much planned it out like a month before then. The day wasn't set, but like the day was set the week before, everything like that, because I do my schedule on the weekend. I'm gonna do my schedule for next week tomorrow. If I am doing a series that involves other people, for example, which is like, for example, we had Stardew Valley, I did turn around and basically say, I need to know like a week in advance if you're not wanting to do this, because I need to schedule for that. And there were several times where they told me the day of they didn't want to do it, and I'm like, cool, you've done this 2 weeks in a row, man. I'm just gonna call the series. I'm not gonna bother, because it's not worth my time and stress to schedule for. So there's that level of professionalism, I guess, that I have to myself and how I treat the stream. And they weren't capable of upholding that, and that's fine. But that's one of the many reasons why I don't like collabing or with playing with other people. That's why I do aim to just do solo things. I mean, I have my close friend that I would love to do more content with us programming together and stuff like that and talking about the game. I'm hoping that when we get closer to the Steam release, I can drag him in to do the dev log with me. My honest opinion about the priorities. Work ain't that important. Friends and networking are worth more. And yeah, you need to earn some money, but whatever. Get a CAD type advice. Yeah. No, it's friends and networking are really, really important. Friends and work, greater than romantic life thing. That's where it's kind of that mixed bag, right? Because there's the is it the trifecta that's well known for a little bit of rant. No, fair enough. It's you can be good at 2 things out of 3. It is family, friends, and work. It's really hard to be good at all 3. And if you try and be good at all 3, you end up being bad at all 3. I would argue I'm really good at friends and work, and I have been for majority of my life. And that's partly because family has always been unpleasant to me in a lot of regards. I tried my best at one point while I was with my ex to prioritize family more, because I would consider that family, and in the process I forgoed friends. And I'm gonna be honest, if I had not done that, they would have probably told me earlier on that things were going badly and I should have gotten out of there sooner. So that's kind of one of those, like, you can only be good at 2 of the 3, and it's not easy to pick. And sometimes it comes with consequences on what you do end up doing. I'm a workaholic, so work is a huge thing for me, and my friends matter a lot to me because they're the only people, like, they're the people I chose to be around, not the people I got stuck with because of any other reason. And yeah, it's important to have people around you that you want to be around. And I'm not even focusing on any of these. Does that mean I'm good at all of them? Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. It's a very loose concept that I do agree with somewhat, though, is that most people I know the problem is that I know too many people that focus only on one when they could focus on two. And because of that, like, so I have the friend that I do play games with on stream from time to time. He overworks himself, and his family's not pleasant to him, but he spends time with his family. And his friends are fairly good to him, but he doesn't spend enough time with his friends as well. So it's kind of, he's mainly work focused, a little bit of family, and then he kind of has his friends there. And I've told him that, because he's still living with his folks, he probably does need to move out at this point, because it means that he can figure out his own priorities. He can create that environment where the family becomes in that friend's environment, and then he actually can manage himself better, and he can feel better in the process. That's my thoughts on it, and he does somewhat agree. But it's also not an easy thing to do, because it's a huge security removal. It's your security blanket. It's your parents being there every day versus when you see them. It's hard. Life is very, very hard when you do not have parents around to help and protect you. It's why being an adult sucks. And it's worse to be an adult that doesn't have access to their family at all. Which has actually led me to a lot of serious considerations coming up. Because on a slightly darker, well, not darker note, more depressed note, I've never met my father, and I'm genuinely considering putting in the time and effort to see if I can at least just get into contact with them and meet them, if best case scenario. But at the very least, just talk to them. Have that opportunity. I roughly know where they are last time I got information, but roughly knowing from 7 years ago is roughly knowing from 7 years ago. There's a lot can happen in 7 years. Because to give an idea, I have half siblings I've never met. I am an only child to my mother. And yeah, so I've never met my half brothers and sisters. I do not know the concept of them. It's a weird one. So yeah, that's one of my thoughts. I'm gonna try and get involved with that. I'll take on the thing that you have no idea about. Friend zone is here. It's not some bottomless pit you're thrown into. Imagine that it's even better to start from the relationship square. Yeah, no, friend zone is a great place to be in a sense, because realistically speaking, so one big misunderstanding a lot of people have is the term relationship, and this is maybe subjective, take this as you will, but relationship doesn't mean romantic. There's a reason why I was very specific when I used the term romantic relationship. I have a relationship with all my friends, and they're fucking awesome, and that relationship's extremely important to me. Does that mean that I want to be in a romantic relationship with any of them? No, not really. Means that I want to hang out with them. And I mean, one of my mates I was hoping to hang out with this weekend, but sadly enough that didn't end up squaring up, which is how it is, right? Life is life. We're both adults, so we have shit to do. But I really do want to hang out with him again, because he's very important to me for a lot of reasons. He always makes fun of me when I say this shit on stream. Thankfully, there's no chance he's probably going to watch this one. But it's how it is, right? You're a boy kisser and you want to date your friends. Okay, first of all, I am a boy kisser. But I don't want to date my friends. Maybe one of them. He's not too bad looking. again, when I say I've lived a very filled life of experiences, I'm not kidding. This is not new information to this channel. Why is this one bit of like hair, man? Fucking annoying me ass. Stay behind the headphones. So it's out of my face. Oh. Dun, 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 dun. There's all sorts of stuff though that it's really weird thinking about like friends and stuff nowadays, because again, my value of friendship has hugely gone up, right? Shocking information to process, but it went through your mind for like a millisecond and it disappeared. Yeah, I mean that's realistically what does it doesn't impact anyone on the stream in any capacity. I mean, I still find it really funny that I sit in that category that's called greedy. It's okay to be straight. It's okay to be gay. It's not okay to be bi because you're too fucking greedy. Malith has an ability to make people forget. Honestly, the one ability I hope one day I can truly cultivate is having a voice that really helps people to go to bed. Because I have a monotone voice, so I know I've got the capacity. One day I'm gonna get like my fucking first message on a stream and go like, thank you, I fell asleep to this. And I'm like, oh yo, my man, I'm glad. I stand by my goal with this content has always been the terms second monitor content. Right? That's what I watch the most, so. Is it okay to identify as an attack helicopter? Only if it's a Apache one. I don't know though, it's like, I mean, I'll tell a quick story about my voice that I always found funny. So when I was younger, I still do, but when I was younger, I had really fucking munted teeth. My teeth were really messed up for positioning. My lower jaw was way further back, so I needed to not only get my teeth pushed correctionally with braces and stuff like that, but I needed my jaw realigned basically. And for that, they use these things called blocks, which are like these giant, just plastic lumps with like a bunch of stuff to reshape the position of your mouth, and sliders on the side of my mouth so it would force my jaw to move forward, which is why actually, ironically enough, still to this day, my resting mouth position is like got that exact space between my teeth. I have a really hard time putting my teeth together outside of like biting and chewing. So eating. The slightly less weird way of saying it. So when I had these in was when I had my squeaky like, hi, I'm Michael, I'm Alice, I'm still young, I'm in high school, right? I was still in that voice, and then I took them out, and there was just this. I was like 14 at the time. I never had voice breaks. I never had that experience. I just had this voice all of a sudden. L plus ratio, Brendan mewing. Oh, not mewing. Typical beta dev, goddamn. But it's just that is genuinely the weirdest experience for me. So yeah, I never had the experience of having my voice change from the young kid voice to this voice. I just had this voice as like a fairly young teenager. It's gotten slightly deeper since, mind you, but it's like pretty much, my mate can attest, like I sounded pretty much the same in high school, and it's really funny. So imagine a high schooler with this voice walking around. And I was fucking hyperactive and fucking stupid. So you heard this voice a lot in weird situations. And then I would just sit in the corner and read, and then I was happy. Between the teen voice and the deeper kind of voice. I mean, it's that whole thing of some people have whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like, fuck, one of the content creators that I work for on and off, I think he's actually now in his 20s. He still has a voice that sounds like he's prepubescent, and it's jarring at moments. Love him dearly, but like, dear God, for his own good, I don't watch his content as much anymore, because I feel like I would not be able to work for him if I kept listening to him. I feel really bad for that. To be fair, the work I do is free, so maybe it's fine if I left being a volunteer for him. I get paid in exposure. No. I don't do anything other than like admin for his server and shit. So it doesn't matter to me. To be fair, I can feel my voice slowly giving out on me, which is why I'm like, yeah, I knew it was 2 hours as a cap, right? I was tempted to have a little bit of honey before this, because I also did a little bit of singing practice earlier. Laptop running out of battery. Bloody Kiwi with you, stick with charger. See you tomorrow. By the way, it's 7 AM for you, far out. That's pretty fucking early, mate. But no, I don't think it's tomorrow. It's recording good, streaming bad, yeah. It's not tomorrow, right? It's day after, because tomorrow's Sunday. Well, Sunday for me. It's oh no, I'm probably not gonna stream on Monday, am I? No, I don't stream on Mondays anymore. I'm gonna keep that. I like that. Today, so tomorrow and the next day after that are days off. Oh yeah. Can't wait. Get to fucking sleep in. So I got to sleep in today. It was nice. I think I slept until like 7. Oh my God, 7 AM, that's such a late time to sleep in. Oh, I love it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it here as well. Just in general, because again, like I said, I'm feeling my voice start to give out on me, and I do feel a little tired and a little peckish, so I feel like I should have some dinner soon. But yeah, this was a good experiment though, because I found this, I find this really, really fascinating for seeing, can I just keep dialogue going for a period of time? We got a solid hour talking about the subject on hand, then this past like 40-ish minutes have been not fully on topic, but just general discussion. I'm not against being less topic based in the future with these, by the way. I want to stress this. I just wanted to make sure I had a topic for the first one, because it just felt better. The overall as well is it's kind of intended to be a bit more of a podcast, an interactive podcast, I guess, because it's live, but a podcast nonetheless. So feel free. Like I might reduce how much I draw during the stream, to give better opportunities for people to just watch, to just listen, because I mean, I've said before, I like the idea of doing podcasting because I feel that I've got the capacity for it. I just feel that with the podcasts I watch, I always liked having some visual interest going on. Trash Taste is a good example of that. It's you got the boys sitting there talking and the cameras do move around and then show things as needed. But it also means that I don't have to look at the screen all the bloody time. Second monitor content, everybody. It's not bad. But nonetheless though, thank you so much for watching. You've all been awesome. And I hope to see you again in the future. Until then, bye-bye. My fucking stuff on Stream Deck doesn't work anymore. Get on it. Where is it? Really professional. This button.